Hey guys, it's Gabby, and today I know the lighting kind of sucks, but today we're gonna be talking about everything that went wrong on the first day of Follow to Bulacan based on my experience and the tweets I saw the day of and the day after, and up until now, people are still talking about it. So let's get on to the video. Okay, I have notes because there's so many things and I don't want to forget anything. So, where do I begin? First of all, the overall experience was really unpleasant. I mean, for the strapping, the queuing, of course, the concert. The concert was amazing, hands down. Thank you for the Korean team, Pledis team, Hybe team, everyone for making the show really amazing, and of course for 17. But the local organizer, let's call them Fire Nation, made it really unpleasant for us, especially on the first day. I don't know if the second day was as bad as the first. There were problems that started early in the morning when people got there. I personally got there at 11 a.m. and I finished all the lines and queues around 2 p.m. for the lines and the strapping. This is where God knows what the heck happened, because until now I can't understand why they made it so difficult for us. So the lines are so messy. They only announced that you can't re-enter when you've already verified your ticket on the day of the event, when people were already inside the venue, inside the Philippine Arena, which is where the queuing for the standing sections was. Philippine Arena is separate from the Philippine Sports Stadium where the concert was held. And basically, people were really mad because they only announced this the day of the concert and literally after people started getting verified. Apparently, people were saying the lines were not moving from 10:30 to 12:30, but I think it's because, and we're also at fault for not checking, but the lines were really messy. We didn't know where it ended, so we were asking people for help. The staff, the ones that have the ask us for any questions or whatever, ask us if you need help, and they literally said, okay, you can line up here. And apparently we were cutting. But how would we know when the staff who were supposed to be the ones helping us were telling us to line up there? The person who let us line up there, I think she was also confused. And some of the marshals were also confused. They didn't know. They were telling us the carrot zone was here, there, everywhere. But apparently you had to finish the strapping and the everything before you go to carrot zone. So we were just like walking around and people were just like, okay, you can line up here. Which sucks for the people who were in line since 11 or earlier than that. So for us, luckily, we finished within 2 hours. And then, okay, so the time that they gave us, which was also on the waiver of your queue numbers, they told us to be in line for standing sections, not VIP, by 3:30 so that we could move to the sports stadium by 4. But suddenly, while we were in line, after an hour of being in line, they started announcing that that standing sections had to be in their section by 2:30, which is a whole hour before they said that. And mind you, we were barely past the verification part. We didn't even get our strapping or anything, and yeah, so it was really frustrating. And later on, we found out we would just end up leaving that area like a bit past 4 p.m. So they caused unnecessary panic. The bouncers didn't know, the marshals didn't know, the ushers they did not know. No one knew what was going on. They're just like, ma'am, just listen to the announcement. But apparently the announcer didn't know what was going on either. So people were panicking, people were like cutting lines, people were trying to get everything done so that they could go inside and make sure that their queue numbers are valid, because if you don't make it inside before 2:30, then that means your queue number would be invalid. Yeah, I do know some people whose queue numbers were not honored, so that kind of sucks. Like, unlike Fire Nation's part, they should have prepared more for this concert, knowing that it was the first concert in the Philippine Sports Stadium. And yeah, it was kind of disappointing, and I can't even begin to imagine what the international fans here to watch 17 felt. So, okay, so fast forward after the verification, which took maybe 40 minutes to an hour to get there. So they scan your ticket, and I thought, because usually at every K-pop concert I've been to, that's where they strap you, and that's where they give you the banners. But they did not do any of that. They just scanned the ticket, didn't tell you where to go. You just figure out, because people are like going to different lines. So we just followed someone and lined up, and apparently that was the line for the strapping. But then I was seeing people holding banners, but we couldn't leave the line, because if we left the line, then we'd have to line up again. And apparently the banners had a separate line. So the banners had a separate line, the verification had a separate line, strapping had a separate line, and then Carrot Zone had a different line. So too many lines. There could have been 2 lines, like in every concert I've been to, and especially the ones in Korea. They make it so easy for everyone, but here it's like they wanted everyone to have a hard time. No one knew anything, so that was really frustrating. But let's move on from the lines and the strapping to another issue, which I didn't experience, but a lot of people posted about the PWD issue. Some of the bouncers or ushers or whatever you call them wouldn't allow people into the PWD sections because they look fine, and this person ended up having a panic attack later on. I'll post the tweet somewhere here if I can find it. But yeah, no, same organizer. Happened to me before. Not me personally, but the person I was with was a PWD, and we were already allowed to sit in the PWD section. I talked about this in my Twice concert video, and then they were like, only people with wheelchairs are allowed in the PWD section, or people who can't walk, people who have a hard time walking. But please know that PWD does not only mean someone who is physically disabled or can't walk, because PWD can mean many things. I was speechless when they were saying that it's only for people who can't walk. How do you not know what PWD actually stands for? And we had waivers and all, and the cards and everything. But yeah, so I felt the frustration of the person who tweeted, and I hope this never happens again at the concerts in the future, that these people handle, because this shouldn't be an issue anymore. Okay, moving on. Now we're finally inside the stadium. Right when I got in the stadium, the control booth was so high, and I was like, wait a minute. People are seated there. They sold those seats. I saw on Twitter the next day that people were saying, hey, is this seat even worth it for what I paid for? Because they can barely see it. And Fire Nation did not say that these were obstructed views. So people bought the tickets assuming they would clearly see everything. Okay, moving on to our section, to the standing section. We could not bring in outside bottles, water. They only told us that we could bring in collapsible or water bags 2 days before the concert, and you usually order those on Shopee. So I was wondering where I would get that. So I ended up not bringing any water at all, in hopes that, I don't know, someone would sell it inside the venue, because we couldn't bring any outside water in. So here comes the terrible part. 17 themselves had to hand out water and stop the show for a bit because someone fainted in the standing section. Because imagine being in the sun from 11 or even earlier until the concert that ends at 10 p.m. in the heat during the day with no water. The temperature, we live in the Philippines, so the temperature is not for outdoor concerts. Even if you say it's January, we do not live in a country that has cold weather. So it was not really a good idea. I think it wasn't really a good idea. It looked very beautiful, but overall, the experience, I think Philippine concerts are meant to be indoors. So many people fainted. I saw a girl being carried out. I'm not even kidding. The girl that 17 was trying to give water to and telling people to stop pushing, I saw her get carried out, and it was so scary to look at. and I was genuinely scared, so I had to bring out my own calming oil and smell it because I felt like I was not feeling so great anymore either. But yeah, people were fainting, we were all thirsty, we were all tired from standing, and second of all, the standing sections were filled to the brim. I'm not even kidding, there was no space for you to move. Maybe if you were all the way in the back, but it looked nice in pictures. Safety hazard, definitely. But that's on the organizer again. Thank God nothing more happened than other people fainting. Of course, I feel so bad for them, and I hope they're okay now. But I'm glad there was no stampede or anything bigger that happened. And yeah, so also luckily that we were by the barricade, we were able to get water from the bouncers. We were able to ask them for water and they would give us cups. That's only for the people near the end. People in the back could not ask for water in case of emergency. Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well, but thankfully nothing horrible happened. And yeah, so now we talk about my own experiences. But this is the craziest part. Other than one noticing me, I low-key wanted to cry in the lines because it was so hot and the lines were so messy, and then I had to use my fan because it was hot, which is normal, right? But my contacts started drying out because I could only hold my fan like this close to my face. I lost my photo cards. I don't know if someone stole it, if I dropped it and someone just took it. I lost my eye drops case with my photo cards, and then I had to go to the medic because I was holding my fan like this, so obviously my contacts were drying out. So note to self, bring extra eye drops. My last thing that I would have to say is a lot of the standing girls in the standing section were really nice. Everyone was trying to get space between them so that there could be air, but there was this one girl that forced her way between the girls that were right behind me, and she kept pushing everyone. She was pushing me, she was pushing my friend, and obviously I'm a really big person. I'm 5'8", and then with my shoes I would have been 5'9", 5'10". So, you know, she was pushing me, but I didn't want myself to be crushed against the barricade, so I was pushing back. And I also felt bad for the people behind me because obviously they were there first. Their queue numbers were there, and someone just tried to push her way all the way to between me and Nika. But I wasn't gonna let that happen, and neither was Nika. But I did feel bad for Nika because she was the one that ended up like getting pushed more because she was smaller than me. But you know, I was not allowing it. I literally said, "Can you stop pushing? Because this is not right." And I was like this close to telling a bouncer, but luckily I didn't have to get to that point, and I just had to tell her to please stop pushing because she's like literally gonna hurt someone beside her or around her. So thank you to the girls behind me who did their best not to push us even though people behind them were pushing. And I'm lucky that I still watched a good show even though my experience was in line, and that whole day was not so great, but the concert really made up for it, and I am so happy. I really hope that Fire Nation learns we are on international news, and that's not cute. So yeah, thanks for watching my vlog, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Watch my concert vlog if you haven't yet, but I'm sure you have, which is probably why you're here watching this video now. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Bye!